It's that time. The Bright Side Chronicles is about to go down with Kerri and Nana. You ready for the show to begin?
Hey, let's go. Let's get it. It's almost showtime. Let's go. Let's get it. It's almost go time. Let's freaking go.
What is poppin', everybody? Welcome to Babe. Can you believe it? It's episode 46. Episode 46 of the Bright Side Chronicles with your hostess with the mostest, Kerri Lewis, alongside my amazing king, Nana Agyemang. Today, some weeks he's somebody else. And then I have a beautiful, an amazing friend who I get to call Soul Family because he's kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
Russell Heights. So, woo! Nana, share with the listening audience why we do this show, what it's all about.
Oh yeah. So the Bright Side Chronicles is an hour dedicated to talking about things that bring you joy, happiness, and just really just a space to just like talk about who you are as a person, what you're involved in, and it's just a very like non-scripted, just enjoy the moment type of thing, and it's a conversation. So like literally, thank goodness we have Russ here today, so we get to shoot this out for him, let him know what he's about and things of that nature. And obviously we got Kerri as well because she's just that person. So I'm excited for it. I've been looking forward to this all day, so I'm ready to go.
So real quick for the listening audience and for Russell, because he may not know. So I study quantum physics, neuroscience. I work in addiction and mental health recovery. And something Nana and I have both come to understand is, one, there's a pervasive narrative around fear and suffering in this world that we want to change by focusing on joy, because we know that joy is a higher vibrating energy. And if you exist in that high vibration, you attract that vibration. You. And secondly, the reality is joy is a fundamental necessity in experiencing a well-lived life. And so it's my passion to help people understand that joy comes from honoring yourself, honoring what feels true for you, rather than the good opinion of anybody else or who you were taught you needed to be in order to be accepted, loved, or have a successful life. So that is why I'm very, very passionate about this show. So with that being said, Russell, the reason I wanted you to be on this, you want to go on, or are you just saying what up, babe?
No, I was just pointing just to give kudos.
Okay. The reason I wanted you on the show is you're making some moves. You left the corporate world and opened up your own business, which takes a set of balls, literally. Can you talk to me about what that drive to open up your own business, where that comes from, and how that pursuit of doing something for yourself may open you up to having more joy-filled experiences?
Good questions. Yeah, I think I did it because, realistically I was laid off, but then I was like, I could look for another job, and like there's no guarantee. Well, there's a certainty that the corporate's not going to give a shit about what you they're not going to take care of you. Like my father lived in a realm where like he had one job his entire life, they took care of him, right?
Yeah.
That world doesn't exist anymore. And like, not to mention, like I never had my heart in trying to find another job. I'm like, this just doesn't sing for me. Like, so I could do a lot of things, but it took some time to like figure out what I wanted to do. So my background is I went to school for graphic design, went to art college, and but I was always like doing something for someone else. I always enjoyed that. I never quite like created just for myself. Have later on, and I'll maybe talk about that later. But I think like I always enjoyed making something, solving problems for other people. And that's what brings me joy for sure, is like being able to solve like difficult problems, and specifically in the realm of like user experience. So historically building applications for big companies, but I always wanted to feel like there's some joy in it. Like, yeah, you're filling out a form, but it could be yeah, it might not be the highlight of your day, but it can also not be a giant pain in the ass.
Ooh.
So
Well,
with Height Labs,
so where does that courage stem from? Because I think, to your point, right, our parents did work in this, paradigm of you work one job and maybe they weren't even taken care of, right? Not everybody was.
Yeah.
And yet they stayed because there's this fear of stepping out into the unknown. Where does that courage come from?
I mean, I think the courage didn't come all at once for sure. I think I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out for like most of last year. And then I was just like, okay, I need to commit to doing this. Either I commit to the other path of like looking for a job, which I had to do for unemployment, and that sucked because it's just a black box. If you don't match the robot what the robot wants, you don't get a foot in the door, no matter who you know. So like, was never like. I mean, I just couldn't find myself to get pumped about some company. Like they all want you to be like super excited. Oh, I want to work for your company so much. I'm like, I can't fake that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think for myself, I felt like, but I can find passion for myself when I'm committed to myself. Then I can find a drive. And so I think I had to stumble. I think I'm on a path where I'm no longer doing. I am doing UX UI, but that's not my primary, right?
Correct.
Now I'm doing automation for small businesses because that's what I was doing largely for big companies. It was just contained with like a big application.
Yeah.
But I was always trying to be the bridge between who the business owners, what they want from like, we're trying to optimize whatever. And then the people that have to use it, like that was the bridge that I was creating for people to make sure that they could do what that needs to be done. But it doesn't have to be like all like, I don't know. There's a balance there. So I think with now what I get to do is like I get to talk to small businesses, take that expertise and like help them solve problems that I think a lot of people just commit to. Like they think, well, this is how you run a business. There's all this admin that like you have to do, but you didn't get into business of what you're doing because you wanted to do admin work. But over time you get to be like, well, I guess it has to be hard. And I don't think it does.
It's so true. But I mean, inherently, that's why Nan and I have this show, because everybody believes, there just has to have this negative narrative. There has to be negative news. It always has to be. And that's complete bullshit. The reality is we are creative beings who can create whatever we want. It's just giving ourselves permission to do so. And to highlight you going into business and stumbling, I think we all do. I'm a business owner. Nan is a business owner in his own right. He has his cosplay business, but also he runs his own business within an organization for selling cars. And so we're always going to stumble, but I think that also speaks to being able to do what you love, because the stumbles feel easier to absorb. And, it makes walking, like those days where you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, more palatable.
Well, and I love that you brought the stumbling thing, and it's not to like keep being dead horse or whatever it is, but I think sometimes the stumble part is that shows the resilience, right? So like, you could stumble and be like, damn, I just can't figure it out. You know what I mean? But like, if you're just stubborn in a good way, like I call it, stubborn, like just work ethic. There's a terminology I use. It's like stubborn. I don't know. I forget what it was, but it's like just not willing to like give
more driven as fuck. Like
that's probably what it would be like. Like it's like
I think honestly, like the mistakes, or not even mistakes, it could be mistakes.
Challenges.
I think my own self, like some of the biggest growths I had in my previous career and even now is like when either I had a pain in the ass client that like checked me and I'm like, okay, I see you.
Yep.
I get it. Maybe I was resting on my laurels and, and that helped me grow. Like I remember the really annoying clients. Some were just because pain in the ass, but it also helped me like be like, okay, that means I need to be maybe adapt or be
Yes.
more alert or like more prepared. Like, so I think challenges are
Yes.
like what make you. They don't, if you're all sitting on a bed of roses, well, I guess they have thorns, but not a great analogy. But if it's just all like rainbows and unicorns, like what would you learn?
It must be nice. It must be nice. And I love that you bring that up because I always tell people like my first ever like customer that I had was literally like these two women that refused to get out of their car, right? And I'm over here like I don't know anything about selling cars. I just remember it was December, it was cold as hell. It was probably like 2 degrees outside, and they wouldn't leave their car. And my team leader was like, "Hey, go check on them. They might need help." So I go up to them. They're like, "Oh, we're all set." And I'm like, "Well, what brings you in? Why are you all set?" And I'm just trying to figure out. And they're like, "This is not giving me the time of the day." And I'm like, "Dang, this is tough. This is like my first ever customer." But my thought process was like, "Dude, if this is like as worse as it gets, this is a great start because I didn't start off on the hot end where it was like the person that comes in and is like, oh, I'm gonna buy 3 cars." Like, no, it was more like the person that just kept on giving me obstacles or objections to try to get over. And I just was like, you know what? It is what it is. It helped me get better because it made me realize that this is probably as bad as it gets to start off with, but I'll get better from this. And I just use that as like fuel. And I tell all the newer hires, I'm like, look, if you get not even a bad customer, if you get a tough customer, it's going to make you that much better because you're like, okay, well, I've handled this situation before. How do I keep growing from that? So I love that you brought that up too, Russ. It was really good point that you brought that up as well.
And real quick to our listening audience, thank you so much for the
was
followers and shouting out the love. We send it
bro.
back. If you guys have any thoughts about overcoming obstacles as a method of growth and experiencing more joy, feel free to drop it in and let us know. So, that leads me to my next question, Russ, would be, what does bring you joy? What like fills your heart to the point that it makes building a small business possible, navigating through those trials and errors so that you can stay the course when it feels harder? Because all of us have built business, so we all know it's not a bed of roses, even with those thorns. Sometimes you're getting shafted with an entire stick.
I mean, I think personally right now, I because I have the autonomy to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not whatever I want. It's within like I'm learning as I go, and I'm taking like every opportunity to be like, what can I learn from this? Specifically in my case, like I'm still trying to find what's going to land with people. So they will work. I have a few clients that are more like they're probably not my ideal, but I'm at a place where like, okay, I can do this.
It's an opportunity.
But like right now, I was kind of like shooting too broad. I was like, well, automation can be anything. And it's true. I mean, I was kind of specific, but it just wasn't specific enough. And like I literally pitched it on Monday. I pitched it to someone. I was at a networking meeting and I told him what I did, and he just like glaze. I'm like, nope, didn't land. And I'm like, but that's fine. He wasn't trying to be rude. He was just like, I don't really get it. And hey, that's my fault, And so I thought about it a little more, and my whole approach for automation is I'm coming from like an emotional place. I want to know like what is the feeling of, maybe another one slipped through the cracks, like a lead or something, like that little pain that comes from that. Like that's what I was trying to tap into. And I was like, I need something sharper. I need something where they can see like, hey, there is like, there's money on the line. And I was thinking invoices. People hate sending people invoices. But what's worse is the follow-up, which often happens. You have to follow up again and again and again. So I'm like, what if like, well, first of all, from a systems perspective, I was like, what's out there already that solves this? Surprisingly, not a lot for small businesses, because you're talking about like your system of record that has like what jobs you're working. That's like if you have a CRM, that's what that would be. And if you like have some sort of payment like Stripe, those two are two behemoths. They don't really talk to each other. So I was like, you know, I figured like, okay, that wouldn't be too hard to string those together. And so I basically came up with an idea of like, what if I give them the pitch and then I show them a demo where I show the solution right there and be like, and I have it. Like basically I get the name of the company.
Yes.
I put it in. And like right now I just have like coaching and contractors as 2 examples, but whatever comes up over time, I can like add some dummy data. So then it kind of feels real. I mean, it may not be your packages or whatever, but it's like, oh yeah, I do work with people as a coach, as opposed to companies or something. And you know, contractors remodeling. Okay, that makes sense. And so I just have it. So you just have it up. It says your company's name and like here's like, you know, 3 invoices that are mid-flight, 1 that's overdue, and you can like click on it and see the progress. You can see the steps that have been taken. It's all automated. You don't have to do anything. You just set up the template. Like you're not sending it and having to remember, okay, it's been 3 days since they didn't reply. Do I not? You don't have to have that, you know, mental Olympics anymore.
It's total mental. But so here's the thing. One, you know, because we've talked about technology several times, and I'm the type of person that I immediately gloss over. And it's so funny because Yanko, who is on my show tomorrow, like he and I have a show together. It works in the tech field too. And he talks to me and I'm like, dude, you're killing my time. But what I wanted to say is you do plant seeds, because I was yesterday looking at RSS and I'm like, I wonder if Russell could automate the audio from the Bright Side Chronicles into RSS, which uploads to the podcast, and create a description, because just so you know, even us glossed over people who are like, what the fuck? Listen, we just may need to take a long time to absorb it. It's planting seeds. But to totally pivot, right? Because let's just be real, talking specific tech will gloss me over on our show.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying it. I'm like,
no. I want you to share like a couple questions, you know, to follow up. So one, where did you get the ability to stumble and use it as an opportunity to learn and grow rather than beat yourself up? Because too many people do, and that's what cripples them and inhibits their ability to be successful in whatever it is that they're looking to do, whether it's cosplay to coaching to creating a business for technical solutions.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I've always been very self-reflective. Like I remember as a kid, just like talking to myself, you know, and even when, you know, we're trying to work out a problem, you know, like, I mean, inevitably, I think a lot of it was just like trial and error. Like initially you're doing it in your head, and that doesn't really work, because that narrative, you're talking to multiple parts of yourself that all have different agendas. I didn't know about that so much when I was older, but I think, you know, trying to figure out problem solve, you know, you say that, and I think my parents said something recently, and I was like, what, you think that of me? That's interesting. And it was like, my mom was citing when I was in, I guess it was like the first year, I guess between high school and college, or the first year after college, the summer there, I was staying with my parents in North Carolina at the time. And my mom was like, yeah, Russell just like completely resurfaced the dining room table. And I'm like, it was an old dining room table, and like it got all the stuff, and I don't think YouTube existed then. I think I just looked at it and like figured out, okay, I need this kind of stripper, and like it was kind of a, you know, sketch. But from my leg, and then like washed up and kind of freaked me out. But it's like tried, and like it's funny, the mom still remembers, like I don't think we have the table anymore, but she's like, oh, he's really handy, he can do all these things. I'm like, I guess so. I guess I've always been like trying to find ways to solve problems. I never had that. My parents never really reflected it back to me. They're not very good at like emoting.
I know you parents, so I get it. Mine aren't either. So there we go. And none is either. So we're
I know. I know my
of
parents are proud of me for whatever I do. It's just sometimes they're not like the most vocal about it, but they'll let me know. I'm like, it's cool. Like I don't need you to like. It's cool. I know that you're.
Right. I mean, I think part of me would have liked more acknowledgement growing up, but it's also like there's this almost like intuitiveness about their like right now both Lindsay and I are running our own business, and my dad is definitely like anxious about it. Like he said it multiple times, but I think he'll voice his concern. He's like, I don't understand, is this gonna like make ends meet and things like. I'm like, hey, I think this is way better than trying to apply for jobs where it's just a black box. I'm getting feedback. I literally took this idea. I went to an Alignable meeting. It was like networking, right? A digital networking. I pitched the idea. I didn't even say demo. And the woman was like, do you have a demo? And I'm like, I hit something.
Yes.
So, I mean, I got a little sharper and got a little closer, and like I've yet to like give it to someone, but I know it's gonna ring because I know you don't like technical, but one more part.
No, you can share what you do that brings you joy. I want to know why this brings you joy, but go ahead, share.
Why it brings me joy? It's like I love solving problems. I think I am a creator at heart, and like I've always enjoyed solving problems because I've been cooking, since I can high school probably, but I've probably been observing cooking my entire life. And for me, I never liked sports. My dad and my brother would be watching sports, and so I'm like, I don't want to hang out here. This sucks. So I would go to the kitchen because that's where my mom was. So I would learn from her. And like I think by high school, I was starting to like watch cooking shows with her and things like that. And we try things, and we were in a different country too. So then that allowed us to try weird ingredients. And I think it's interesting. My parents would, I don't think of them as very adventurous, but from a culinary perspective, because my mom's a dietitian. Well, she was, right?
Yeah. She was.
She's retired, right? So
retired, yes.
But
they are adventurous. It's so interesting. I want to jump in, and for the listening audience, I really want to encourage you to consider this perspective. And if you have resistance to it, just ask yourself why. Like we look at the experiences we've had with our family members or friends or over relationships, and because of our experience, we create these stories about them in our head. But then, as you pointed out just a second ago, when we start to look back, we're like, wow, like maybe my parents didn't like show up this way that society said they needed to as a parent, but they did show up this way. And does that mean that they weren't any less loving stuff? No, and for you, it's adventure. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I have this weird perspective that I think is weird for a lot of people. Like, I like to try all sorts of new things. Like, if I haven't had something, and now with my dietary restrictions, I'm like,
I was just gonna say, hold on,
but even so, I will try something new that, like, as long as it fits in the box. But even so, like, my parents would they would go to a different Indian restaurant, or we would go to. So we lived in Houston for a time, and we would go to. There's this like. Big, it was like Hispanic grocery store. It was huge. And they had all sorts of wild stuff in there that you just don't see in like a Shaw's or whatever. And I mean, I love going to grocery stores now because I'm like, what's in here? So I think that kind of exploration comes from them, and I think that curiosity is like part of that trying. So I had cooking, and that's a lot of trial and error, and so I have like 40 years of, well, I guess maybe 30 years of cooking under my belt at this point. So I think there's a lot of mistakes, and like, as over time you hold yourself to a higher and higher standard as your craft evolves. But like, I think that's where creating comes from, and that brings me joy. So there's, and as time goes on, like I don't have as much time to cook now. but little one.
For the little one.
I was waiting for you to bring up him and how he
inspires you and brings that
initiates joy in your life. Because one, he's a bundle of energy.
Joy.
God love him. But two, I think, and I'd be curious to hear your perspective. Nana can weigh in too, because of Aziel. How is, being a parent to a 3-year-old, like a little one who's just exploring the world? How do you think that has impacted your ability to experience joy?
I think right now more frustration, but he's not sleeping well, so he's like, oh my god, whatever. But
poor little guy.
But normal, like even tonight, he finally ate and like he's like napped on Lindsay, and he had dropped his nap, and he probably shouldn't have. But like he got it back. Like Lindsay even cited, like I heard them playing. They're playing Twister, and he was having a blast.
Oh my god, golden.
And he was like learning his left and right. Like he would Lindsay would be doing the face putting and like and he would spin and try and say, okay, that's clearly a foot, so that's a hand, and he doesn't read yet, but like practice there. And then when he was doing it and Lindsay was spinning for him, like he would, like she would say left foot and like try, but he would remember it. And so part of that was like really, really cool. It's really interesting to watch him learn, like especially net new things. Like, and then oftentimes because he's now in preschool, he'll have like words and things and say stuff. You're like, what? Where did you learn about Morocco? Or like we have this book that has like big and small pictures, and it's like kind of symbols like big bear, little bear, and it's a picture of a polar bear, and he goes polar bear.
Oh wow!
So, like he knows. Yeah, he has like his like vocabulary keeps growing, and it's just like it's really interesting. It's especially fun when like he's picking things up from other places, and then like he brings them in, and you're like, wow, I didn't know you knew about that. The other day he said brave, and I'm like, whoa, that's a concept.
No way.
And so I was just like, interesting,
dude.
But ultimately, it's really interesting because he has his own ideas and thoughts, and like we don't know what he's feeling, even though we really try really hard to guess and try to predict what he's feeling to no avail, of course. But
to know of that, I feel like that's the ultimate setup for frustration. Like we just can't know. But it's interesting because I had an experience today. Billy, my youngest daughter, and I were sitting outside on the porch, and we have an indoor cat, but we left the door open because he's always staring at the window. And we're like, I'm gonna see if he'll walk out. And I observed him, much like Ollie and Aziel, like tiptoe out, then there'd be a wind, and he'd go flying back in, and then he'd tiptoe out, and he'd smell, and I was watching. And I was in so much joy. And what I like had this mind-blowing epiphany. Joy comes from just being present, like with what's unfolding, like this ability to just like really be present. And then layering on to that, watching the cat experiencing something new and how it like fell backwards to move forward, to fall backwards to move forward. And I think that's a part of growth people fail to understand. There really is no mistakes. There's no failure. There's what are you learning from the experience that will help you, to your point, Russell, dial in and offer a better product or offer a better service or show up differently that meets the needs of whatever it is you're looking to achieve.
So I just want to throw this out there. The growth part too is so important because like I feel like that's a thing that like I always want. There's a saying, it's called Kaizen, which is continuous improvement. And though like seeing that like with Ozzy, with just the family, like it's cool because I've seen him, like the little guy. I'm like, why does he know this stuff? And he asks a lot of questions. He's in that why stage of like question every single thing. So I'm guessing Ollie's probably in the same situation too, where he's like questioning everything. And I'm like, dude, like this is cool to see them. Like they're literally forming their own personality little by little. But like, they're 3, and I'm like, I don't think I even recall myself really doing it at that age. But I mean, I don't remember much anyways from that time frame. But like, it's just cool to see like them just forming their own identity because of like the people that they have around them, the support with yourself and Lindsay, and then obviously with Kerri, you know, Lex, the whole family back home. Like, it's just cool because they have all these characters, all these personalities that intermingle with them, thus giving them room to be themselves and like keep expanding in who they are as a person eventually over time.
I think for go ahead.
No,
well, I was gonna say like I think we're lucky that like we live so close to Lindsay's parents that basically once a week Lindsay's parents watch him for like half a day, and then my parents have moved up here and watch him for half a day, and he gets all of that. They're all very different personalities, different takes, different ways they try to manage him. But ultimately, like, they have different approaches, different perspectives on the world. Like you were saying before, like, maybe I would have liked more, you know, verbal congratulations, but you know, they're quiet, just like, I'm here for you.
Steady.
Unwavering support. That's not verbal, but I know it.
You feel it.
That he's getting that as well, which I think is really amazing.
Would you say, going back to the word brave, because Ollie used it, so shout out to him, right after TT Kerri's heart, do you think that your ability to try new things now, like step into your own business, do you think Ollie gives you a why to be able to do things differently, right?
I mean, I think that's a fair perspective. Like, I think for a long time, I don't think I had like a clear like ambition myself, and I have realized there was a chemical reason for that, but now I have that chemical reason. But I think now that I have that, I do think like, I mean, now is the time to try. Like, I have a lot of knowledge. Honestly, I feel like now, in terms of like my skill set plus AI, like I'd have a really hard time doing this without AI, honestly.
That's a good call. That's a good call.
Like, very dependent on it. Now, I could probably figure it out without it. Like, I mean, I was doing that
before,
you know, but like the speed is, but I think the things that I think find really challenging is like some of the research and stuff that I do with it to kind of find like domain level expertise that I have no knowledge in. Like, trying to uncover that before would just take so much time. And literally, if I have if I can ask enough questions, I can like really staying open and curious, I can like blow my mind open.
So I love AI, but that's because AI, I mean, I read incessantly about quantum physics, neuroscience, spirituality, like you name it.
Absolutely.
You know. Nana tells me about cosplay, and I tell him about.
No, I support it. I'm like, yo, what did you learn today? Like, you know what I mean?
I know, it's awesome. But I will say, you know, this goes back to joy too. Like, and I bring it full circle to the bright side, because, you know, we have these people who are AI is the like doom and gloom, and then there's these people like yourself and myself who's like, if you use it appropriately, it can open up the floodgates to greater growth, expansion, you know, technology for everybody, and that ultimately allows us to have less time working and more time to play, which I think is a crucial part of having a really fully expressed life. And I'd be curious, so you work in tech. If you're bumping up against a problem, how do you work through that problem in a creative process? Do you like muscle it out, or do you have a way to like forget about it and then come back to it?
Like reset.
Well, what I find interesting about AI is like it's almost like I can have like another designer. I can have like, hey, why don't you go, you know, I have a bunch of different tools that can like, maybe I'm stuck on a visual problem or something. Hey, come up with like 3 or 4 variations. just to see what it comes up with. And then, you know, inevitably, like, so I was doing, I started doing a coaching app. And I wanted it to kind of be facing like for like, well, who are the audience? Who are a lot of women are coaches, and finding like that persona for it. And then I was like, okay, create some like color palettes and stuff for this. And like, it was all like monochromatic, which is kind of default. And like, that's basic bitch. We're not doing that. We need some accent colors. We need a little dynamic.
Hell no.
So I was just like, but that's like part of it. It's like my own experience to do that. But I think I do believe in like sitting on a problem. Like I do think there is value in the subconscious, just like, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, where you can just like, I feel like my brain is just like a soup. Like there's all this stuff, you know, so absorbing, you know, like I like going to art museums and stuff. I'm not going to do like pottery and painting or whatever, you know, I'm not going to do that, but I love to see how other people express and explore ideas in a visual way, or even dance or something like that. And that's like, there's so many different forms of art, cosplay, that like, I don't know how my brain is going to like interpret that and maybe like pull it out in some way in what I do. I don't, but like I feel like the greater the soup pot is, like more ingredients you're going to put in there, you just don't know how it's going to combine and put it out. Like, that's why I think.
So I want to share with the listening audience, Steve Jobs didn't go to, like, he didn't get a degree, but he would drop into these classes. And one of the classes he dropped into was a calligraphy class. And you know, that was the start of different fonts in our computer. And so this is where I would encourage people. And the reason I asked this question to you specifically, Russell, but also for you, babe, to answer is, so often I work with an individual and they're trying to grind out a problem. You know, I work with people who are in the tech industry and also run, you know, different companies. And the reality is they try to force it. And what I've come to understand, and I know it to be 100% true because I experience it all the time, right? Nana does this too. And I did a video on this about Nana the other day, is when you walk away and do something completely different, you start painting, you put on a new cosplay fit, you get on the ground and play with Ollie, right? Your mind has a space to problem solve for you. So giving yourself permission to find joy, walking away from that, is an opportunity to then actually create something. It's going to vibrate higher because you're not grinding it out. It's going to come to you intuitively. So it's just the thing that feels right to do. And you create something that you're really proud of. So 1XV.
That's my boy Jesse. That's Jesse.
Jesse?
Yes, that's Jesse.
Feel free to ask the question.
Absolutely. But what I was gonna say is,
Dom 33. Okay, I want to know the question too. Okay, well, ask the question and I will respond. And what were you gonna say, gentlemen?
No, I was gonna say, like, I love that you brought the whole, like, just damn, I had a train of thought in my head, but I just totally forgot what it was.
About stepping away and playing to produce.
Yes, like, so I was actually talking to James, one of my coworkers, and he actually brought up the idea of play, and I was like, that's literally what, like, I try to tell people all the time. Like, it's one thing to just work, but it's another to also make time to be like, yo, I'm gonna do something that's gonna bring me that sense of joy and happiness, to just be almost like childlike in the moment. Because I think too many times we're told to just grow up, you gotta figure out life and do that. And I'm like, dude, but that's not what life is about. Life is about, like, just trying to find the balance of, like, you know, moments of times where you gotta obviously work and, you know, make ends meet or whatever it is. But there's also moments of times where you're playing. And I told James, I was like, that's why I go to conventions. That's why I do, like, meetups. That's why I keep myself with people, because, like, that might be the only time frame that they do get to catch up with people. If you think about it, right? Like that perfect example is like PAX East, which is the biggest video game convention. Last year when I went to it, there was a gentleman that I spoke to, and I might have said this in previous ones before, but I was talking to him, and he was like, "This is the weekend that he gets to like be a kid because like he's normally with family and stuff like that, but his wife and him like that's like his non-negotiable. Like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends that play like Magic the Gathering or certain card games, things of that nature that vibe with him. I mean D&D and stuff like that. And I was like, that's cool stuff because you think about that, like he gets 4 days of the whole year, quote unquote, to like go just live his best life in that moment. So that's why I was telling people like the cons and stuff, it brings me that sense of happiness because it resets my battery. And like having one early this month, I'm like, I told Kerri, I was like, yeah, I got my con out the way, so now I can focus on life as well too, with family and things of that nature as well. But obviously when the con was going on, I was just enjoying the con because it's just was the thing that I wanted to get off my plate. But it's just so true. The play is a huge thing because it resets your mentality of like, dang, I don't feel like I'm like constantly like being told what to do when I'm just enjoying that moment and living that moment for sure.
But I want to lovingly challenge that a little bit, that idea. And this is where I want people to really just, if you have resistance to this thought, that's cool. Resistance gives you the ability to get curious and just maybe have a different perspective. We have a responsibility to play every single day. Not 4 days a year, not once a month. Like the reality is there is so much evidence, okay, guys, in quantum science that measures the vibration of an individual, but it also is in scripture throughout the world that says childlike wonder. Like when we suspend what we think we know, when we allow ourselves to just experience things, right? And so I would argue, or not argue, but ask
question.
Consider the fact that how often do you incorporate play? It can just be like literally, this is what I'll do. I will hit audio on the phone. I'll be like, oh, nah, what you doing? Like just stupid stuff. But it's like this light energy that, I might do it after a dense conversation, a heavy situation with my children, whatever the case is. And so, yes, I would encourage people to consider if you aren't experiencing play, what's a small thing you could do to incorporate play in your life every day? And I would be curious to ask that question to you, Russell. I know you like tech, and I know that like AI probably helps you play in the field of creating those experiences. But also, like, what else do you play? You cook. I heard you say you like art. Is there things you do every day to experience joy?
I definitely do. I haven't painted in a while, but I mean, with Oliver, I get to do a little bit of that. Sometimes, he'll want, it's partly like what he wants to do. If I don't want to use markers, whatever, and he doesn't want to use markers, that's off the table. But I mean, I do like simple like coloring Paw Patrol. Like
good call. Good call.
It's I find it zen like, you can just like zone out and just like, okay, I'm gonna make this color and like what happens if I put this color on top of it? And meanwhile Ollie's just like coloring the same points, trying to get a hole through it. I'm like, whatever, dude, whatever.
Dude. Oh my God.
I have so many thoughts, but I'm gonna defer to you gentlemen first. Do either one of you want to answer Jesse's question?
Sorry, I missed it.
No, go ahead. I'm curious.
Would you like to, or are you good, Russell?
No, I was trying to find it.
Oh, I just hit it. Hang on, I can put it up.
Because Jesse's talking about like how the first one was basically talking about how college can help you get a good job. To be honest, I feel like it's not everybody. Simple parents are about me of it. Okay. So I'll put my input on it. So first and foremost, I understand the ideology of college. I know it, and it's not for everyone. It's truthfully, you can be successful with or without college. College for me helped me figure out who I was as a person, as in like it helped my growth, but it also doesn't determine how articulate you are because there's a lot of people that didn't go to college that have made themselves successful in their own thought process. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where parents will put some parents will put their notion and ideology. I know I grew up in that same household as well with like my mom wanted me to get a degree, which was awesome. I understood where she was coming from. but I also understood that like the work ethic that I had, I could have done with or without a degree in that same aspect of it. So like, truthfully, I would say keep shooting for your aspirations. And if you really are shooting for the YouTuber and streamer, you know, it's going to be a grind with anything, right? But it's how you, the grind doesn't have to be specifically hard. You can strategic, like strategize it better and like pivot yourself and reach out to the people that have been doing it for a while and get their input. Like have, you know, role models or mentors that know a little bit more that are doing it constantly and just be like, hey, like, how did you get to this? Or how did you pick their brain? Because that's the people that are literally on the front lines when it comes down to that aspect of it. But that's just my take on it.
No, I mean, I have to double down on the mentor aspect. I feel like I was lucky to have a really good mentor when I worked in my last job, and like he like started the mentor program, and it was just like it's really beautiful because it was like he was like 20 years my senior, but
Yep.
like this isn't a one-way conversation. This is a two-way conversation. I have things to learn from you because your life is different than mine, and you know, ultimately that it becomes like this give and take. And that I think is probably where you can learn the most from. In terms of college, I think the only caveat I put with college is that unfortunately there are, depending on what you want to do.
Yes.
But the other thing is you don't really know what you want to do your entire life.
Like, I
didn't think I'd be doing automation when I was 40. Like I went to graphic design. Like what the fuck?
I didn't know I was going to be selling cars. I graduated marketing and management degree. I just fell into it, and I was like,
right.
Okay, I guess I'm okay at this thing, and I just fostered that.
Yeah. So I do think if you're like for life I'm going to work for myself, then you're good. But I do know for a fact that same mentor, he doesn't have a college degree, and what he wants to do, he wants to fly planes for like I think FedEx or something.
Oh shit!
You know, he's got his pilot license, all that. But one of their limits, you have to have a college degree.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. This is what I would say to you, Jesse. Having built a business on my own, that's a global business within 5 years. And I also worked my way up corporate America. I didn't even finish high school. So what these two gentlemen are saying that is super important is whatever it is you put your attention to, you work at it. It's a craft. Yeah. Russell just, you know, he got laid off. He could have done the same old, but instead he said, I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to take a risk, and I'm going to stumble my way through it. I'm going to talk to Kerri, and she's going to look at me like I have 10 heads 5 times, but I'm still going to show up and talk to Kerri until I can communicate something that doesn't make her gloss over. And so it does require an unshakable faith that what it is you want to achieve, you believe in. Like you believe, like I love what I do. Like I love what I do. Nana loves cosplay. Nana loves servicing people. Russell loves to problem solve. He likes to be able to build automation to make it easier for other individuals so that they can focus on whatever aspects of their job they love. And so you can absolutely do that. But the second point that I saw you put that these gentlemen didn't touch upon, and this is a practice, and this is actually one of the reasons I have the Bright Side Chronicles. We have a soul responsibility for our own soul. And what I mean by that is all of us on this panel right now have had parents who have imposed unwittingly, not intentionally, imposed their beliefs on us based on their experience in life and fear. And what you're going to come to realize over time is the only person you have to be able to look at in the mirror at the end of the day and reconcile with is yourself. And so the reality is you may disappoint your parents. Shit, I disappoint my kids sometimes because I honor my soul rather than this perceived notion of what a parent needs to be. And that takes courage and it takes being curious. But if you do that, I promise you that you will create a life that is unparalleled to what most people ever experience in their human existence. Because so often we are so busy following the narratives and the conditions and the storylines that have been embedded into us. And it's not just through our parents, guys. I was just telling a client earlier today, there's real evidence about epigenetics. In your DNA, there is coded memory. So this isn't a place to blame or try to just shuck your parents. Your parents are amazing. They did the best they can. They are operating from their own belief system. And until you give yourself permission to operate from your belief system, you will struggle to experience the bright side of life, because true bright joy comes from self-autonomy, freedom for self.
Damn.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it's true. And like, that's what we talk about. Like, Nana slowly dipped into dyeing his hair, and then he showed up in a Dora costume, and then he decided, he has quite the costume. Yeah. Machine on Sunday. So, but it's giving yourself permission. So that leads me to, my question for you. Permission, Russell, like, what does that word mean to you, and how do you apply it in your life?
Permission. Interesting. It's there's so I don't know. I think that I think all the things you just said about like your parents, if you don't know what you want, or you can't even separate yourself from your parents, is an interesting one. Because I think, figuring out how you're different from your parents, and accepting that. But
yeah.
Well, I think what I loved hear you say is you recognize your parents' capacity in their perspectives, right? And you can respect that. You can see where they are able to show up for you in their way, and that is, but also not be defined by their beliefs. And I know that's the case in terms of raising Ollie, and I imagine you and Lynn's being in business, right? And so I think that takes a tremendous act of courage, and I honor that in you, and thank you, because we need more people like you, because that raises the frequency of the earth, people. I'm just going to go on my tangent. It does. But it also
I think
to be joyful.
Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of, like, my parents definitely have some of, like, you got to work, and well, I clearly inherited that, but like, I also don't think work has to be hard. Correct. Like that paradigm that work has to be hard.
Correct.
That's a chosen story. Work can be fun. Work can be, honestly, nowadays, sometimes the weekend's harder. I'm like looking forward to Monday.
But that's because you have a 3 year.
Yo, that's real stuff right there.
Listen, you know what? God is so good to us, Russell. No joke. Me and Nana were pregnant at the same time that Aziel was conceived and Lexi was pregnant. And God was like, man, you guys aren't ready for that. So we get to give ours back. We just take Ozzy and then we give them back with diet.
You know what? But it's so cool because, like, it's the same thing with Ollie, right? Like, we're getting to see this little bundle of joy just become his own person. And, like, it's funny because Aziel gravitates towards me probably the most, aside from obviously, like, his mom and his sister and, a couple of people in the house. But, like, literally, I walk in the room and he's, like, looking for me. And I'm like, that's, like, my kid. But it's just, like, not my kid technically. But, like,
you don't have to do the weekend Russell dance.
Exactly. But like, but like, I love.
Well,
that,
luckily on the weekend we watch some TV, so I'm like, oh, you want to watch Studio Ghibli movies? Yeah, we'll just watch that.
Yep, those are great movies. Not to be sold on. Studio Ghibli is a great. You guys are building this amazing little being, and he's going to be so diverse that I love that, because like I think that's what I'm trying to instill in Ozzy as well. Like, he has cosplays now, which is freaking hilarious, because I'm like, he's definitely coming to a couple cons with me for sure.
Oh God, like, are you kidding me? He's gonna be your sidekick. But
oh yeah, it's gonna be Batman and Robin. I'm gonna be Robin. He's gonna be Batman.
Not be Batman. No clap man.
No, he's Batman. I said Batman. I didn't say
I thought you said clap man.
No, bro.
What
Go
is
ahead,
Clap Man doing?
Because Nana has a skit where he wants
Yo,
to have clap man and throbbing.
Yo, relax. Yo, no, he's gonna be.
Okay.
I'm gonna be Batman. He's gonna be Robin, right? So we just gonna walk around the con and he's gonna be a little goofball. I'm like, dude,
Well, okay. We got 5 minutes left. So
You're good,
one,
you're good.
Russell, you really you support small businesses with automation, right? And how can they just look you up under Russell Height or?
Yeah, if you just like look height-labs.com, you can find it.
Good call.
Awesome, guys. So if you are a business owner or if you're curious about automation because you don't necessarily like, I'm sure at some point
somebody's
I want to, no, I'm not sure. I definitely need to automate this shit because guys, I have 20 episodes of our podcast out in podcast land and we
it's
have
all good.
episodes.
We
can help you out, Kerri.
About that.
Kerri, why don't you fill out the form on my website?
There you go.
You
see, Russell's already on it. He's already on it. You see that?
I'll do that and I'll post it next time I'm on here so everybody knows I did it.
Real shit.
And then okay, so with that, what is anything you guys want to impart? Like, what's something that comes to mind, if anything, that you want to leave the listening audience with on, experiencing the brighter side of life or joy or really anything that you're called to share?
I would say, like, I think if there's anything you did like when you're a kid that you haven't done as an adult, try it out. Like,
damn.
There's no right or wrong. Like, I do watercolor and things when I actually give myself permission to do it, and like it creates focus and like, it just like, it's a different way to look at things. And
yes,
I love that. But
I was just gonna say, like, I'm actually excited for just like life in general, right? Because like, I don't know, life has been great, and truthfully, it's been great because like I look at things in a positive mindset, regardless of how challenging things get. I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, I have to understand, like, there's going to be ups and downs. That's just life in general. But I love to see, like, when I do have those challenging moments, I already know that it can't get any worse than that, right? I just got to let it just be for what it is. But that's my mentality with a lot of things in general, whether it's, like, not being able to be a content creator at a certain place, then go and make an impact. You know what I mean? That's the alternative about it, is, like, that motivates me more to be like, nah, I got to just go do my thing and make sure that I put on a good representation of who I am as a person. And so living authentic to myself has definitely helped me do that a lot more. And, just excited for family. My mom's in Ghana. She's enjoying her best life. And I'm like, go enjoy yourself. You deserve it. You work hard. And then I have my amazing girlfriend that got me this cool Dragon Ball Z. It's somewhere up there. It's hidden, but it's what is it called, babe?
They're curtains.
I couldn't think of it, but I was so excited. Yeah, I was so excited. I was like, yo, I came into my room. I'm like, no way, this is like my room. I couldn't think of the name, but like, yes, you got me some curtains, so I'm really excited for it.
Sorry, that was rich. I love you.
Yo,
oh my God.
That was highlighted my week.
I'm going to touch on something that Russell said and tying it into what Nana said. Permission. Permission is a prelude to a new experience. And yet so often we convince ourselves that we have all the answers, that we have to do it the way that somebody else said it, that we have to work hard to, whatever. And the reality is if you can, your brain will unlock to infinite potentiality. The minute you say, I suspend what I think I know and I'm open to all possibilities, you literally erase every block. And you do that. And going back to what Nana said, perspective is everything, because Nana and I have experienced many trials in our 6 years together. And then, of course, my life building a business, Nana building his cosplay community. And yet never did we ever allow ourselves to quit. Like, I had moments of struggle, but I always choose to come back to joy. Like, what am I learning? How am I growing from this? And so giving yourself the ability to take on a different perspective. And then lastly, guys, again, at the end of this life, my hope is you're not worried about, did I make my parents happy? Did I show up for my kids? can I say I lived a fully expressed life? And that means ups, downs, and everything in between. But fully expressed is allowing yourself to experience what feels good for you, despite the good opinion of anybody else. So until next time, that was episode 46
Right,
of the Bright Side Chronicles. Russell, you're the man.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Babes, I love you. I'm going to end the stream. We can reconvene after.